Hello everyone, I'm Changyue from the Institute of Information Engineering, China's Academy of Sciences. It's my honor to introduce our work. What's done is not what's claimed, detecting and interpreting inconsistencies in app behaviors. I will introduce our work in the following parts. Today, significant amounts of private data is accessed extensively by mobile apps, including contacts, photos, and locations. To protect users' privacy from being misused, many manufacturers allow users to grant permissions to apps to access each private data. However, privacy leakage remains one of the most critical issues. The problem may lie in two aspects. First, although users have the right to grant permissions to apps, they often find it difficult to understand why each permission is required. Second, even when each permissions are restricted, apps may still access private information without users' consent. For example, many users may not be aware that this app will access their location and upload it to server when they are taking photos. We attempt to address this issue from the user's perspective. We find that the major cause is that users are often unaware of what behaviors the app is actually performing. On the one hand, does the app notify users about the behaviors it's performing? And on the other hand, does the app notify users about its behaviors consistently with the behaviors it actually performs? If we can help users understand what behaviors the app is actually performing, they will be able to independently understand what the app is doing and assess the associated risks. Therefore, in our work, we first determine whether the app fully and accurately informs users about the behaviors it's performing. Since users rely on app's UIs to understand app's behaviors, when the app performs a specific behavior, we check whether there are UI elements that notify users about the relevant information. If not, the behavior is marked as an inconsistent behavior. Next, we interpret the behaviors into natural language, enabling users to easily understand what the app is doing. We developed InconPreter to achieve our goal. InconPreter first uses static analysis to extract behaviors from the app. Since an app contains an overwhelming number of behaviors, and we focus only on those that are related to users, so we design a set of filtering rules to filter such attention behaviors. Next, by comparing the semantics of the app's code and the related UI elements, we can extract inconsistent behaviors. Finally, using large language model and external knowledge from the official documents, we can interpret the inconsistent behaviors into natural language and provide risk analysis to users as a reference. Next, we will introduce a detailed introduction of each part. First, we use static analysis to extract the app's core graph and identify the UI content corresponding to each API in the core graph. We achieve the UI API association by locating commonly used binding APIs, such as setContentField and findFieldById. In the core graph, if a node doesn't have a direct binding relationship, it inherits the UI semantics from the parent node. For the UI content, we not only focus on the content defined in the layout files, but also consider the text and the icons rendered on the UI. These elements are directly presented to users and more accurately reflect the information received by users. To ensure the competence of the behaviors, we first use data flow analysis to associate related operations. For example, consider the two separate core graphs below. If there are data flow between the API get last node location and the upload data, we'll link these two APIs into a single call sequence because they represent the same behavior. Additionally, We summarize common implicit calls associated with the UI elements to further extend the call sequence. Next, we construct an attention library to filter user-related behaviors. After analyzing the API names from a large number of apps, we summarize the following 3 findings. Firstly, in various apps, unimportant words appear more frequently than those related to sensitive resources. And secondly, words that combine with many other words are not important. And thirdly, an API should be important when it's thematically related to UI elements. According to the 3 findings, we built the key library. If a behavior's API doesn't contain any keywords from the attention library, this behavior is not considered. Further, we use the attention library to identify inconsistent behaviors. Specifically, we compare the attention keywords in the APIs and those in the UI. If they are inconsistent, the behavior is marked as an inconsistent behavior. Finally, we use large language models to interpret inconsistent behaviors. Since apps require APIs with specific permissions to access sensitive data and resources, we connect relevant information about such APIs and the permissions from the Google official documents as an external knowledge. Then, through prompt engineering, we activate the large language model's capability to achieve our goal. Here is an example of our outputs. InconPreter first outputs what the app is actually doing, and then give risk analysis to each behaviors in a specific format. And by this way, users can know what the app is doing. To demonstrate the performance of InconPreter's behaviors interpretation, we designed a user study where participants rate their interpretation. And according to the results, participants generally think that our outputs are easy to understand, reasonable, and helpful for understanding the app's behaviors. To select the most suitable large language model, we compare the performance of several popular language models at that time. Our labeled dataset, GPT-4 performed best, so we choose GPT-4 as a model for the final step. Additionally, we conduct experiments to evaluate the accuracy of InconPreter in extracting inconsistent behaviors and providing risk analysis reference. On our label dataset, InconPreter achieves a 94.89 risky inconsistent behaviors identification rate, which is higher than the SOTA tool. Additionally, InconPreter identifies 704 more inconsistent behaviors than SOTA. On the Android malware dataset samples, InconPreter achieves a 94.56% risky behaviors identification rate, and we also identify 27 new risky behaviors. We extensively connect apps from the Android market and identify 413 web apps containing 1,664 risky inconsistent behaviors. They cover all app categories. Among them, 89 apps have over 1 million downloads, potentially affecting millions of users. Additionally, we found that 77.97 apps contain self-studying risky inconsistent behaviors, which means that the behaviors can be triggered automatically without user interruption, posing a serious threat to user privacy. Additionally, we connect apps from different time periods over the past 15 years. We found that risky inconsistent behaviors have significantly decreased from 26.44% in 2010 to 3.8% today. reduction is likely due to the increasing privacy concerns and the stricter market regulations. Furthermore, we observe a declining trend in risky behaviors related to user content information, but an increasing trend in those associated with location, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. This shift may be due to the decreased frequency of phone call usage, rather than increased reliance on online communication today. In summary, we propose InconPreter to extract and interpret inconsistent behaviors in apps, enabling users to better understand what the app is doing and independently assess the potential risks. By applying InconPreter in web apps, we identified 1,664 risky inconsistent behaviors from 413 apps, including leakage of location, message, and contact information, as well as unauthorized audio recording, affecting millions of users. Thanks for your listening.
If you have questions, please walk to the mic to ask your questions.
So thank you. The inconsistency are from the UI text and API text. What if there is no UI text?
If there is no UI text, we consider all the UI contents in the apps as the semantics. And because in our work, we consider our aim is to detect whether the UI claimed the functional is actually performing. So if there is no information in all apps claim the functionality, it will consider an inconsistent. Because users may not know what the app is performing.
So you derived all UI context from the hierarchy or source code?
Source code. And also the rendering, because we will dynamically run the app.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yep.
It's really Zhang from Georgia Tech again. Thanks for the talking. I have a quick question. Like you see, like you're measuring the inconsistency between the UI element and also the app's real behavior. Have you got any chance to look into the nutrition label provided by the app and you find still some inconsistency between those labels against the UI element and against the actual behaviors? Thanks.
Sorry, what labels?
The nutrition label is like something like you see from the App Store. They say like they claim to collect.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes, we can consider such information because we also may use some user reviews and the information from the Google Store as the text information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. How do you define the AP behaviors? Will give them specific categories. I saw that you label some, for example, the unrelated informations or the network behaviors such as upload. Do you give specific categories and to detect the inconsistent? Or you depend on the LLM to give the LLM the behaviors of the applications and the UI elements. Yeah. To detect the inconsistency.
To detect the inconsistency, we use static analysis, and the LLM is for interpreting. We give the code sequence and the UI elements to LLMs, and they will interpret it into natural language.
One more question. How do you define the related UI elements?
Because in our work, we focus on the privacy about users or devices. So the related behaviors is the operating to such as data users information or data information. Is about this operation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's thank our speaker again.